I often feel like the accountant at Duster Magic. I come in and I've got a lot of numbers, and I think it's very, very important that we balance out the magic and the creative aspects and the pedagogical aspects of app development with some of the business realities. This is a slide deck that's evolved. I'm sorry, you've seen this before, Kristen. So, although there are some changes in it. You know, I was asked to speak at Casual Connect in Europe earlier this year, and just about kids apps. Casual Connect is a games conference. They want to know about kids apps. So I said, "Oh, I'll do it as the alphabet. I'll do it just like a picture book." Until I realised that meant I had to do 26 slides and find something that began with Y to cover kids apps. So it's no longer, it's expanded since then, it's no longer in alphabetical order. It does represent a lot of what I think I've learned about the app space over, you know, the kids app space, especially over the last 4 years. This is StoryToys, by the way.
For tablets and mobile phones
we'll do some demos of these later.
Encourage young children as they learn their first words. It's the perfect app for parents and little ones to share, combining superb photographs, simple word labels, and friendly narration.
Again, we're short on time,
it's
so
also an innovative
let me hit to the next slide. And my favorite of our apps. There we go. This is my favorite of our apps. This is an app called Animal Band. It's a place. Try like a media app fan. I might actually do a demo of that one later. And this is our production manager, Deirdre's daughter, playing it during a play test. So, moving on. So Apple, Amazon, Android. I managed to get them all under A. And together, for our purposes, it is the mobile market. My M slide does not represent Microsoft. And you know, we're moving straight on to P here. I chose a pizza because it makes for great pie charts. We did some work. We were looking at doing, you know, a Series A, well, would have been a Series B round last year. We did some work in trying to size the kids market. So we worked with a group called Super Data Research, who are a big games research outfit. And Super Data Research said that that the kids app market, the children's applications designed for the under 13s represented about $1.7 billion. I'm going to come back to that one afterwards, because remember, that includes games as well. So it's games, it's education, it's book apps, but they said about $1.7 billion. Now these guys, Super Data Research, are probably the most credible of the research outfits out there. So, you know, I would take this number as being quite serious. But it's not the kids category. So it's everything under the under 13 audience. I often get asked about, again, pie and pizza. I often get asked about how our revenues break down per channel. So you can see that Apple here represents about 76% of our revenues. I think this is the last 6 months trailing. Google Play about 15%, and Amazon about 9%. But you have to think of this, and I think Apple might have stepped out of the room for a moment so I can talk really, really quickly before they come back. You have to think of this as being different apps work better on different platforms. People often ask me, you know, how do I get something featured on Apple? And I say, well, you make an app that sells iPads, right? And then they ask me, how do I get something featured on, you know, on Google? And I said, well, you make an app that that Amazon can sell other things around, because Amazon are great merchandisers. And then they asked me, how do you get featured on Google? And I said, well, you know, make an app that you can sell, because they sure as hell can't sell anything. So it could be quite difficult. And I've got a good example of that as well. For example, this is our Chuggington app. So you can see on our Chuggington app, Google's about the same. It's about 13% in terms of revenue break. And Amazon is 33% of the revenues for that app. And the reason for that is Amazon are such great merchandisers that whenever anybody buys a Chuggington book or a Chuggington puzzle or a Chuggington toy, chances are within the next 15 minutes they're going to get an email. Or even if they just browse it saying, hey, you know, got a Chuggington app as well. So licensed IP sells very, very well on the Amazon platform for that reason. And by the way, that doesn't mean that our revenues are smaller on Apple. It just means we're making more money on Google. So moving on to C, and I'm going to skip some of these because actually there's about 40 minutes worth of content in this deck. We don't need to talk about COPPA. If anybody needs to know about COPPA, I did a presentation and the URL is there, so you can call it up, or I can give it to people afterwards. I did a presentation on COPPA last year. We all need to know about it. We particularly need to know about it because maybe sometimes a little knowledge of COPPA is a very, very dangerous thing. People don't really understand that personally identifiable information includes things like images, includes things like audio recordings, and truly what parental consent means. So, moving on, kids category. A lot of people maybe mix up COPPA and the kids category. The two things were coincidental, although the timing was fortuitous. Apple introduced the kids category in September last year. I think I have a slide. We see what it looks like here. So this was an answer to a lot of the problems that we had in StoryToys. Our content was all in the books category. Our content wasn't pedagogically sound enough at the time for it to exist in the education category. Our content was very much about books. So the books is a fairly illiquid category. So when Apple introduced the kids category, our volumes went like this, and this is pretty impressive. So from July through to March of this year. Sorry, I should have updated this. October, by the way, we 2 big releases. So you can see the impact for us in the kids category was actually quite profound, and actually I would say business saving, because we were really struggling. Really this time last year we were struggling. Everybody else see this once the kids category came into effect? Yeah, I think it was huge for us. So I think we have to be very thankful for that. So there's a lot of other V's in there. There's venture capital, which I won't go into. There's validation, which the kids category gave us. And of course, one of the key things about the kids category is age ranges. So we've got lots of different places we can choose to place our app. One of the things we've discovered is that they're guidelines more than anything else. And really, people discover kids' apps on that front page. I'm sure some parents drill down into the 0 to 5, and I'm sure some drill down into the 6 to 8. But that main page is really where the discovery goes. Now, I added this in to the last slide. This is hugely simplified. And there's a lot of people here that know a lot more about this than I do. Our apps really, we've focused on the under. We've really focused on the under fives. We're now aging up a little bit, and one of the reasons we did that is because of the micro segmentation within the audience. That parents generally, we have a customer who's the parent, we have a consumer who's the child. Up to about the age maybe of 7 or 8, you have either parents prescribe the content or you've got parent-child consensus on the content. And once you start hitting 7, 8 years old, children in the playgrounds, they're much more articulate. They start learning about content from their friends. So your marketing costs go up because you have to crack that playground market. That's a very, very difficult thing to do. It's easier for us to put a message to a parent or for a parent and a child to agree on content purchases. So why am I here? Oh yeah, gating. This is another kids category point. We've all seen this. We actually do use IAPs. We find the IAPs. I have some data on this, which I'll go through in a few minutes. But we find that IAPs are actually quite a beneficial part of our business. We also find we have a complaint rate and a return rate of less than 0.01%. In fact, even less than that again. So we find that ethically rolling out your IAPs, i.e. not having consumable models, not having currency-based models, but having discrete functionality unlock is actually okay if it brings something else to an app that otherwise the parent mightn't have got.
And that is in-app purchase.
That's in-app purchase, yeah. So that's gating, another feature of the kids category. Now, how do we deal with that? Well, this is the gate. Parents only swipe up with 2 fingers. We're starting to introduce a numerical gate and a number of different kinds of gates. So it's harder for children to bypass this. Okay, I'm getting to the meaty parts of the slides now. User acquisition comes up a lot. I am of the games industry, and I still have a hand in the games industry as well. People always ask me about user acquisition. How do you get users to get your kids' apps? This is probably the way that most people do it. It's organic user acquisition. You're waiting for people to discover your content, you're getting your message out there, you've got a community manager, you're hoping that it gets picked up on Twitter or Facebook or something else. It's unfortunately, it's limited, and it's hard to do. you'll find that a big brand will always get discovered before your brand in any sort of organic search process. The other big one, of course, is featuring, and I get asked about. We thankfully are featured occasionally on the App Store, and I just tell people, like I said earlier, just really try to make a great app. That's our theory. Make a great app. It's still, unfortunately, it's still the most effective user acquisition out there in the paid app space, and it is unfortunate because we should all be able to make and market apps without having to depend on something like featuring to ensure success. It's a difficult thing. So make a great app with quality. Oh look, this is accidental, but they're all CTR editors' choices. So we don't normally, I normally have a different slide with lots of different things, but we find that the CTR seal of approval, the editor's choice, is it's a huge validation for our content, and that's what we strive to achieve. And I think that's a great demonstration of quality. So other forms of user acquisition, mommy bloggers. Yeah, mommy bloggers are great for exposure. They're great for links to your website. Advertising on mommy bloggers, I find, doesn't really add that much in terms of sales. I think you're talking about probably a user acquisition cost of, in some cases maybe $10, $12, and that would be a good case. And when you're paying $12 to acquire a user for an app that only costs, $3.99, it doesn't make much business sense. What we do find is the most effective, and this is my X slide, the most effective way to acquire new users for us is cross-promotion. And this was how we used to do it. We used to have a big pop-up screen that looked a little bit like the App Store. I know that Apple didn't like it. And it was sort of brute force cross-promotion. This was before anything was gated. It was quite effective, but we thought, is there a more subtle way we can do it? And we introduced a new cross-promotion platform. I think we introduced this in December, and it's been very, very effective. So this is one of our apps, Hansel and Gretel. You can see we've got the main book, we've got some jigsaw puzzles, and a sticker book in here as well. What we have now is a fairly subtle pop-up that pops up at the bottom when you hit the StoryToys logo, and it is both functional and promotional. So anything that has a check mark there is an app you already have installed on your iPad, so the child can use it as a launcher. And then we have promotional slots here, which are of course gated. You can't get past those unless you're a parent, to promote the apps. And I'm going to go through the effectiveness of that in a few minutes. I'm going to talk firstly about my H word, which is hustler. And don't be fooled by people who come offering you fantastic conversion rates, cross-promotion. All of the game's cross-promoters, they're out there at the moment saying, okay, how do we get more customers in? Hey, I know kids apps. They know nothing about COPPA. They know nothing about the fact that we don't have applications with lifetime values of $90+ or $100. So you get emails like this, and this is, I hate this. This is like I don't know if this is, great addition to the platform. It's probably like one of the kind of chart boost type things. The ones that really annoy me, it's real-time bidding advertising. These are the ones that, these are ratings, buying ratings. People are basically buying charts, and it really, really annoys me because there are kids app developers who generally don't attend CTR, and they spend their time buying their way up the charts. And it's very, very difficult for us to compete with that. Here's another one for Google Play. 100 ratings and recommendations on Google Play is $35. And it normally only works for free apps, but now I've seen one that actually works for paid apps. And what you do is you pay them for the reviews, and then the customer comes and pays you. You pay them back with a voucher for another app. It's absolutely ridiculous. So there are people buying their ways up to the top of the chart. Sometimes you'll see, where the hell did that come from? It was nowhere yesterday. It's absolutely terrible. You can be pretty sure it's used a technique like this. There is, and then what I call the dark underbelly of paid user acquisition. There was a huge crackdown on this. Are people familiar with bots? Bots are fake iTunes accounts, fake Google Play accounts, and they're generally being run on an automated basis. Thankfully, it's less of a problem than it was this time last year. We saw a big crackdown last year, and these free accounts are installing apps, rating the apps, and doing it thousands and thousands of times. I'd say it's probably for Apple and Google. It's like playing whack-a-mole. You knock one down, one got up. There's one major kids app developer. I mean major kids app developer that run their own bot network, and they're not here. In fact, they're not at any quality conference. So let's move on to IAPs. Again, on my alphabet theme, I've reached I now, but I think I'm about halfway through my deck here. So IAPs, this was, I think, again from Gameloft. It's the My Little Pony game. They then tried to say, oh, it was designed for adults. Yeah, right, My Little Pony. Anybody seen the new Moshling's Rescue game? Has anybody seen that? It's the most aggressive IAP-driven game that I've seen. It's a Candy Crush clone. But they then came out and said, no, it's designed for adults. Even though it's Moshi Monsters. And there are, like this, there's $99 IAPs of coin packs. So this is people's impression of IAPs. We've seen great headlines. There's always the Daily Mail in the UK and the Express. Dad has to sell his car to pay his 8-year-old daughter $4,000. This is the dad. I mean, my horse, right? 8,000, what was it? Yeah, £4,000, that's about $8,000, is it? About $7,000? That's a lot of money. The original story said he had to sell his car and his 2 motorbikes to settle it. So this is what's given kids industry often a bad name, or particularly free content and IAPs a bad name. So what we find is IAPs doesn't really look like this, but it's more like this for us. It's nice incremental revenues for us. I should have replaced that with cents, but that's some euro change there. It's nice incremental revenue for us. It adds a function to the app for the parent. It adds additional functionality for the children. And all importantly, I'm going to talk about what sort of conversion we see on that. So what we see, we have a single point. So we offer, this is our jigsaw puzzle IAP, it's in most of our apps. We offer 12 puzzles free. The rest are a single unlock. So not each of these is money for us. But basically, you get 12 free. If you want to get the other, what is it? There's another 9. I think you're paying like 99 cents to unlock the other 9. We'll vary the pricing every so often. We do not have. We think this is ethical. We think this works. We get a lot of feedback. We get, of course, the occasional irate email, but we get a lot of good feedback from play testing and testing with parent groups. It converts for us at a rate of about, this is the first quarter first quarter this year, about 13 to 17% of our users went on and purchased an IAP in the app. So that's a pretty good conversion rate. In games, you normally see conversion rates of 3 to 4%. This is converting. The reason you see that normally games are free, this is converting from a user that's already paid for your content. So they paid for your content, they like your content, so they're paying for more content. So that's why the conversion rate is higher, but it's a tremendous rate. We have Animal Band, which I'll show you hopefully later. Animal Band is also, we have a, I think it's a $1.99 or actually no, it's a 99-cent app, and there are 99-cent IAPs within it. We find that 28% of users will purchase 1 or more additional song pack in that app. There's only 4 packs, but again, it's a very, very strong conversion rate. And then we also run free. We have free versions of a lot of our apps. So this is Chuck Patrol. And this is how it converts, so from free to paid. Now, the first number is the free SKU alone. The second number is if I take the sales of the paid SKU and add it in there as well. It's giving me a good conversion rate as if it was only 1 SKU. So on Google Play, 1.68% of the downloaders convert to the full version. In the App Store, 3.46 convert to the full version. But if I take the paid sales in, it's about 8%. So 8% of everybody that downloads our Chuggington game converts to a revenue-generating user first. And on Amazon, it's actually quite high again, but Amazon is unusual. It's a great merchandiser of products that have multiple media applications, and they convert at about 4.6, or really about 5% once we include the full paid versions. I get asked a lot about our cross promotion and how that converts. So remember, I showed you this earlier on. 40% of our sales come from this cross-promotional toolkit. So if you have multiple apps, you need to really spend time tweaking your cross-promotional strategy, how you're presenting. We went through multiple iterations of this. We A/B tested different versions of it, and we're at this number where 40% of our sales come from people who've onboarded with maybe one StoryToys app and then discovered another one through this platform. What's interesting is, so let me see. what is like 10%? Yes, so 40% of our sales, it's 10% of all user sessions results in this being used. And it's not being used necessarily just to buy new apps. It's being used as a launcher. So think about that, 10% of all sessions. We have in excess, I think, of about, I mean, I know, I'd have to go into our metrics platform, but I know we have at least, 10 million, 15 million, that's actually too low, but even if you think about 10 million plays, of our app, for 10 million of them, 1 million apps, 1 million plays are pulling up this event and actually using it to launch another app or looking at it, or looking at a different, buying a new application. So, and the core message for me with cross promotion is that the most powerful marketing tool for your app is actually, for your next app, is actually every app that you've sold before it. Now, we are seeing diminishing returns with this, unfortunately. I think everybody's in the same place, but this is something, if you have multiple apps in the App Store, you need to tie them all together and ensure that you can get the maximum lifetime value by ensuring that anybody that is interested in your app from an older app will be interested in your next one. So, everything else, how do we get these numbers? Oh yeah, I was trying to find a kitchen sink, but I couldn't get a good one in StockCard. Data and analytics. I decided to use this instead of design. This is, I'm of the games industry. A lot of our team is of the games industry. Emmett is of he's ex-Houghton Mifflin. And so, and again, from the pedagogical point of view, very, very much data-driven. We're a data-driven, company. Warren, I know, big focus on data here. Get a games-grade data platform into your app. Make sure that you have something that will be able to tell you, for example, this is actually my number. I think this is, this is what, I don't know what app this is, but this is the number of times that the cross-promotional window was shown. So that's like 10,000 on 28th of March. Again, I'm not sure what app it was. It's probably something like Rapunzel, because that's quite high. And Rapunzel, would generate about 100,000 plays a day. So, we were able to measure these things, and we're able to then make small changes to our apps, and therefore increase how we, just try to inch it up incrementally each time. Again, I'm not sure what this one is. Or what app this one is. This is our main dashboard. We've come on a lot since the last time I presented this. But this is showing me, so how many new users, so how many sales we did the day before, or it's probably a free app because that would be a lot of sales. I'd be very happy with that day. And how many active users we had that day, and then in the IAPs, how many IAPs they're buying, and then we tend to pull it all together in Excel and do all sorts of analysis on it. Couple more points, because we have to go to lunch, right? Yeah, they're probably.
We're good. But,
we're okay. Yeah. Global. So we're based in Ireland. Ireland is one of the localization capitals of of the world. We have only one app which has just English in it, and that's Animal Band, because it costs us about $8,000-9,000 to produce a song for Animal Band. So in Animal Band, this is our sales by territory. And so our sales by territory, all the songs are English, they're well-known English fairy tales, so 90% is, it's coming from English language-speaking territories. And in fact, probably Ireland's over in the international there. China is in there as well. There's very, very little outside of sales for Animal Band come outside of our international territories, or outside of English-speaking territories. If I go into sales by territory, however, on our multi-localized apps, and this is probably something like Rapunzel, actually English drops down to about 50% of our sales volume. Now I shouldn't say English drops down. We have an incremental increase in all of these other territories, and it costs us, I said earlier, it costs us about $1,000 to localize an app, and that includes a full voiceover record. So, just do it. It's going to increase your sales. We heard it last night from TinyBop. I mean, we can't quite aspire to 50+ languages yet. But even with the 8 to 10 that we generally produce our apps in, we produce them in key languages like the EFIGS languages, which is English, French, German, Italian, Spanish. We add in simplified Chinese. We add in Korean. We add in Japanese in some cases. We've got Russian in some cases. We always recover our localization costs. At a minimum, we'll recover our localization costs as soon as we update the app. So Now, I couldn't think of anything in the kid space to begin with why. So that's, if anybody has an answer for me, I'd really, really like to do a slide on that. But
Yo-yo. Yippee! Yeah.
Yo-yo, because that's what this industry is like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yo-yo.
Right, yo-yo. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. I do have a Z. Any guesses on this one? Oh, can we not record this one? That's us. Do I have a couple more minutes?
Yep.
About the piracy, isn't there? I've seen when we submit it to Android, they have, you know, DRM.
Yeah, it's rock solid. Rock solid.
I'm recording.
Oh, you're recording? That's fine.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine. No problem.
I just turned it on right now. So.
Yeah. So it's absolutely appalling. I mean, you know, they have this license check. All you need to do on Android is you just go to the settings. You say download content from untrusted sources, and then somebody has basically spoofed a device, has downloaded your APK, and has just hacked out the piracy piece. Even in the free-to-play market, even in the games market, Android developers often will update their app several times a week to circumvent the circumventions that have been done. So it's very, very difficult in the paid space. So we have had to look at free models, and we still look at them. I'm back at my market slide. I might talk about this one a little bit later because I've got quite a lot of notes on this. You know, I think maybe to echo something that Caroline said yesterday, you know, we're seeing an increasingly competitive space. I don't believe this number for 1 second. This is great for venture capitalists, right? It's like, when Super Data Research said it, it must be true. I think we're actually operating in a market that's probably around about the $350 to $400 million size when you look at the kids category. And you're including Toka and Disney and a lot of other content in that, and increasingly more competitors. Very, very hard to build a scalable business, you know, in here. It's nice, it's great to be able to make an app and you know, sell, you know, tens of thousands of units of that app and make a nice living from it. But to scale that business is quite difficult, particularly when you're up against very, very large brands. Parents take the easy option. A Disney app is safe. A Nickelodeon app is safe for a parent to download. And they see it on TV, their child likes it. So discoverability becomes an issue. So does things like, you know, I mean, we will see changes in discoverability. You know, we hope now that we've got the video previews in the apps and continuing evolution of App Store algorithms. One of the big problems for us in trying to scale the business is actually identifying lifetime value of an actual customer as opposed to an app. And we spent a lot of time, a lot of money last year trying to build a platform that could do that. We still haven't cracked it. I'd be very, very interested in anybody that's managed to actually track the lifetime value of a customer as opposed to an app in a COPPA compliant way, without using a third-party tool that is breaking the rules. Very, very hard for us to do that. We know lots of our competitors that are breaking the rules themselves, maybe through ignorance or maybe just through not caring. But it will continue to be tough. We will probably see, I politely call it consolidation, but I think we'll probably see some fairly high-profile failures in this space over the next year. I have a couple of extra slides. I was speaking to a group, a lot of publishers in the group. Anybody know what this is? When we built the business, I mean, I thought we would build the business and maybe we might sell the business in 3 or 4 years' time, and that was like about 5 years ago. This is the Kubler-Ross curve of the change agent denial. So we thought we would be selling our business at some point to the publisher. The publisher would come in and buy us. And I realized that, you know, in 2010, that publishing industry was about here on the Kubler-Ross curve. They have moved on, and they're about here now. So I think it's going to be a while before we see that kind of positive consolidation in the market, and you know that we start to see, you know, some of smaller companies becoming bigger companies, you know, and growing maybe with the assistance of that. By the way, I think children's TV, film, and media are just, with the volume of apps that we're seeing come to the App Store about there, I think the toy industry is doing some very, very innovative things at the moment. So that's my deck. I hope you found it useful and informative. I'll happily take any questions now, or if you want to go for a lunch, we can talk after. So.
I told you. Didn't I tell you? Yeah. Sharpen up your Twitter.